Police and health experts are warning of an explosion in the use of illegal performance-enhancing steroids. Anabolic steroids have long been used by athletes and bodybuilders, but increasingly they're being peddled to school-aged boys. Like any user, they risk severe side effects, including an increased risk of prostate cancer, stroke, heart attack and depression. In the last 6 months of last year, Customs intercepted 3,000 steroid shipments arriving in Australia. The centre of the steroid business is Queensland's Gold Coast, where police claim outlaw motorcycle gangs are muscling in on the trade. 730 has been given exclusive access to raids carried out by Queensland's anti-bikie task force Maxima in a major crackdown on steroid traffickers. Mark Willisey has this report.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
Jesus. It's early morning and police have launched simultaneous raids against a band of suspected drug runners.
Counterfeit.
For syndicates that traditionally trafficked heroin, cocaine and amphetamines, steroids are now a key generator of their earnings.
Which I think equals $15,300. That's correct?
The number one reason why our crime gangs get involved is greed, is the money. And there's enormous money to be made in the trafficking of steroids.
Steroids have increased by some 200%. Compare that to drugs like amphetamine, where you've had a 38% increase.
The hub of much of the country's steroids trade is Queensland's southeast. And here on the Gold Coast glitter strip, some will do anything to attain the body beautiful, including injecting steroids.
Look, I think there's a whole body image culture, especially if you look around the Gold Coast, for instance, we're probably a perfect environment for it. So you have a lot of people looking to improve their looks, to get fitter. We're very focused on fitness these days, and this can provide an easy way to achieve those goals that otherwise could be difficult to achieve.
How you going, bro?
The pin-up boy for the bodybuilding crowd was Aziz Savashian. Ziz, as he was known to his legion of fans, was a suspected steroids user, while his brother had earlier pleaded guilty to possessing anabolic steroids. In 2011, the young bodybuilder died in a sauna in Thailand, reportedly from a heart condition. While Ziz's family claimed he had a congenital heart defect, specialists say steroids have a range of health side effects, including heart problems.
One of the longer-term concerns is around the blood fats, the lipid profile, which may increase your risk of developing heart disease. And one of the things you disclosed, I think it was last week, was use of anabolic steroids.
Medical specialists like Dr. Jeremy Haylar of the Queensland Alcohol and Drug Service are particularly worried that steroids are growing in appeal to younger boys and men.
I guess we're worried perhaps about the influences on school-aged males, about whether they are trying to achieve changes to their appearance which may cause them harm in the future.
In the last 6 months, Customs has intercepted more than 3,000 packages of steroids coming from all parts of the globe.
Some of it's imported from overseas, particularly from China, and some of it may be being produced, packaged and marketed locally, often on the internet.
According to police, outlaw bikie gangs are increasingly muscling their way into the steroid trade, often ordering the drugs on overseas internet sites and having them shipped right to their door.
We're just going to open up these containers which were just delivered by the Australia Post contract about half an hour ago.
These parcels were delivered to a home near Brisbane as it was being raided by police looking for steroids. The packages had come all the way from China, which along with Thailand is seen as a major source of steroids and human growth hormone.
Bingo.
Inside the packages are pills and vials of steroids, including clenbuterol. It's known as a shredder because it burns off fat cells and increases strength. It's one of the steroids that last year was listed as a Schedule 1 dangerous drug.
Which means it's in the same rankings as heroin, cocaine and methamphetamine. So possession of these drugs can carry a term of 15 years imprisonment, and trafficking in these dangerous drugs, the steroids, can carry up to 25 years imprisonment.
It's just after dawn, and this is one of 10 coordinated raids by Task Force Maxima on suspected steroid sites in Brisbane, Logan and the Gold Coast.
Open the door! Police search warrant!
Here, the target is an associate of the Lone Wolves bikie gang, a man suspected of manufacturing steroids.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take the contents out of the bag.
A bag is found containing a stash of steroids. It's part of a haul of 200 vials of the drug in this morning's raids across the state's southeast.
Here we've found probably 50 to 70 vials of steroids, and we've also got a number of vials of human growth hormone, which is obviously of interest as well. We've found scales, and we've found evidence that suggests the supply and manufacture of steroids.
Today's raids net 7 people allegedly linked to the Lone Wolves. But Task Force Maxima believes the real bikie kingpins are operating offshore.
We're aware of intelligence where crime gangs overseas are speaking with the relative crime gangs in Australia in regards to this type of activity.
So it could be being coordinated from overseas?
For sure. Some of these activities are coordinated from overseas.
Many of Queensland's most notorious bikies have fled overseas since the state brought in its harsh anti-gang laws. Former Bandidos boss Brett Peachy was one of them. But he recently handed himself over to police after months on the run in Thailand.
Back, mate, back. We'll get back.
Some of the allegations around him relate to the extortion of gym goers, and that relates to those persons allegedly, on his allegations, that they were selling steroids on his turf and he wanted his cut in.
But criminologist Terry Goldsworthy questions whether the police are using steroids as yet another stick to beat the bikies with.
No one's saying the bikies are choir boys. There's certainly evidence that a group of them are involved in using and distributing steroids. But whether they're the kingpins, I certainly think there's a lack of evidence there, and that's open to dispute.
Police say that whoever's trafficking them, steroids are a health hazard and are funding crime, warning they'll continue their crackdown.
I think the message is that, look, there is a harsh punishment in regards to this, but it's more in relation to your physical and mental health. It will affect and have not just long-term effects, but short-term effects on how you behave in a public space and private at home.
Mark Willisey reporting.